Hello, this is John Miller inviting you to join Joe Morgan and me at 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific for ESPN Sunday Night Baseball. Mo Vaughn and the Red Sox take on Joe Carter and the world champion Blue Jays right after baseball tonight next.
Coming up on baseball tonight, the Yanks lose some balls. Will they ever lose a game? It's becoming about twice as likely as getting Paul O'Neill out. The Birds could fall further back if they don't get out of Kirby country soon. Plus, Havlik pitches in, but against the Chicagoan, who hasn't lost since August, while Kirk Reeder could taste his first ever defeat unless the Expos rally again. The big cat and the kid talk. The big unit's got a bum knee, and the Cubs continue to be somewhat graceless. Kenny lofts one that creates chaos. To find out which grave carried this crowd at Shea. Plus, come along for a monster tour of fan favorite Fenway. An open invitation on Baseball Tonight. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the show. I'm Gary Miller along with Peter Gammons, who will get us ready for our game, taking us on a personal tour of Fenway Park, plus try to figure out how to fix two-time champ Toronto after we begin with this year's best so far. The last time the Yankees lost, it took the Angels 15 innings to overcome them, and that was a week and a half ago. After walloping the West at a 12-5 rate, the boys in the Bronx have only gotten better against the East and the Central, although beating the Brewers has included a 6-run 12th inning, followed by Saturday's 5-run 9th inning rally. Would this one be a little bit more distant between the two? It has been a long, long winning streak for the Yankees. Brewers trying to get something going against Scott Kamenicki, yet to lose this year. Greg Vaughn, is it gone? Bernie bags it, taking away extra bases. That stopped a first inning rally. Then the Yanks got started. Already up 4-0. They'd knocked Navarro out with 1 out in the 4th. Mark Kiefer gives up this 2-run triple to Luis Polonia. It is a 6-0 advantage. Then up 7-1, Mike Gallego goes across the diamond.
The hometown crowd.
Right here, Bernie. Right on the corner. Face the corner, buddy. I'm here every day, outside corner.
And that's where it was. Oh, the heckler did not hex Bernie, who took him yard. He got a standing O and then forgot something. Hey, but at least he admitted his mistake. That was Bernie's 6th of the year, and then he made the decisive grab to close out the game with the nice D. Couple of huge catches by Williams. The Yanks, every starter had at least one hit. They've won 10 in a row now. They're 10-6 on the road. They'll take Monday off, then they head for Minnesota. They are 14-5 now against East and Central Division teams. The Brewers are the only American League team with an ERA under 4 coming into the game. Well, that's no longer true. They have lost 5 in a row. They only walked a pair of Yanks this afternoon, but issued 23 passes in the series. Even though Scott Kamenicki walked 4, one of the secrets to New York's success has been putting runners on for free so frequently for their own hitters, while their pitchers make opponents put the ball in play. Their differential of 68 more walks taken than allowed is the best in the major leagues. Paul O'Neill had 2 more hits. He's hitting 12 straight games. Opponents certainly need to pitch around him more, because here's how the former platoon player compares in mid-May to some of the more notorious pursuits of a 400 finish, since Ted Williams was the last to do it back in 1941. In this gifted group, John Olerud last season is the only one that was over 400 at this point. At the Metrodome, the Orioles trying to figure out why they're the only team that can't beat the Twins. In the Homer Dome, it became about half of that. Check it out right there. That's where the action is, the Double Dome. Scoreless game, bottom of the second. Winfield aboard Pedro Munoz. A rope down the left field line. Winfield scores. Where's Munoz? Right where we said he'd be. 2 batters later, Jeff Rabelais. Mike Devereaux loses his hat and almost lost track of the ball. Rabelais is at second base. He's there with a double. Next batter, Chuck Knobloch, who leads the American League, now has 19 doubles, gets another. Rabelais comes home. 3-0 off Jamie Moyer. Speaking of doubles, Rafael Palmeiro extends his hitting streak to 18 games with that double. Ripken, of course, doubled him in. Bottom of the 4th with a 1-run game, Mike McCarty doubles his pleasure. Takes an extra 2 bags with his first home run of the year. 5-2 Twins as they spread it out. And then Tapani did the rest. A 5-hitter, he goes the distance. Hoyle's the final out. The only other team the Twins have a winning record against is the Royals as they sweep the O's. They're only 2 out of first coming into the day, despite being in last place. The Orioles will take Monday off, then host Boston, Clemens Messina on Tuesday, Sealy McDonald on Wednesday. And speaking of the Red Sox, Peter, that's our game at the top of the hour. They're taking on Toronto, a team that's a 2-time champion. Are things as bad as they seem right now?
I think they're beginning to seep in with the Blue Jays. They've lost 5 in a row in Baltimore and Boston. They're already 9 behind the Yankees, which is a tremendous amount because this division is so much better. I mean, look, we all know their starting pitching has had problems of, 557 earned run average. Guzman tells some people his elbow is bad, other people he's not so sure. Their starters have thrown more innings than anyone else in the division because the bullpen just is terrible. And they're 4 for 9 in save opportunities. Cox isn't going to be back until late July. They don't know when Ward's going to come back. This is an awful lot to overcome. And the reason I say it's seeping in is they haven't been hitting very much. Alomar's banged up, and Carter and Olerud are banged up. The production in left field and shortstop aren't the same as they were last year. In the last 12 games over the last 2 weeks, they've scored more than 3 runs twice, and they've lost both of those games. I think that this is going to be a lot different in the last 3 years. I think it's going to be very tough for them to come back the way they have. Yeah,
they were mediocre at the beginning of last year, but there wasn't a runaway team like the Yanks have been so far this season. Well, they waited more than 2 hours for the rain, but the Rangers whipped the White Sox a second straight time on Saturday. They'd been waiting all season for a decent outing from Kevin Brown anyhow, so it was worth some patience. Now, as they went for the sweep of Chicago, a 6-week delay in the debut of last year's top winner, Roger Pavlik, the 12-game winner, rather, is finally over. A pair of strong minor league rehab starts for his rotator cuff have readied Pavlik for the rotation. But this would be the major leagues. Was Roger ready for the White Sox? Joey Cora aboard. Frank Thomas takes the slow hook and slaps it into the gap. So in the opening inning, he's already down 1-0. Put 2 more aboard. Darren Jackson headed for the center field bleachers. Gone to dead center, 4-0. Not a good hole to dig against Wilson Alvarez, who has been unbeatable. He goes to the off-speed stuff, and Gary Reedus produces a 5-4-3 DP. Next inning, the chopper. Guillen flashes across the diamond, makes the play. In the third, Guillen, Cora, Thomas. Yeah, the Sox got some D for a change. They've been playing terribly on the defensive end, but they kept turning DPs behind Alvarez, who gave up 9 hits. And Pavlik, after that rough first inning, didn't pitch too bad until the middle of the game, but he takes the loss in his debut on the season as he loses it 9-6. So Alvarez now has a 15-game winning streak. All 8 of his starts have been quality starts. He's gone at least 7 in each. The White Sox snap a 4-game road losing streak. So Peter Brown is pitching better. Rick Helling has had his moments. Do you think Pavlik is healthy enough to make starting pitching a strength of the Rangers?
Well, I don't know about a real strength, but Gary, just to see Pavlik back today is encouraging for the Rangers. And really, like you said, he didn't throw too badly. I mean, he had some problem with his location, but this is like spring training. You see the home run he gives up there. But his stuff was pretty good. And that's really all you really want to see. Looking here, I mean, good fastball there. Got a little help from the umpire on that one. But see a good high fastball by Joey Cora. Listen, you get him back. He didn't win a game until May 21st last year and won 12 games. Bruce Hurst came back into the rotation last week. They can't continue to have Brown and Rogers win 5 out of every 17 starts. The one concern is that Tom Henke's been having trouble with his forkball and strained his shoulder on a wet mound the other day. But I think this rotation is going to settle down. And once they get used to that ballpark, they're going to be a lot better than they've been.
Yeah, very easy division. They're hanging right in there right now. Pavlik gives them some strength. Texas could be the team to beat there. When you've already had our next to last in the league in fielding, the wacky winds of Candlestick Park are the last thing that you want to deal with. But Cincinnati is stuck in San Francisco, where the dozen runs the Giants have dumped on them have been 66% unearned against the major's best fielding team. Cincinnati would have to be a little sharper this afternoon. Burkett on the mound. He's been struggling lately. He started in place of Brian Hickerson. Maybe Hick would have been a better choice. Roberto Kelly takes him out, a solo shot, though, so it was only 1-0. Jose Rio didn't get any help on the defensive end. Willie McGee puts it through the wickets. But the Giants were still behind until with 2 outs. After 2 out hits by Clayton and Benzinger, Kurt Manwaring brings a few in. Giants built the lead, and then the former Giant tried to bring the Reds back, but Mitch hits into a DP. With the Giants' defense paying off, but the Reds kept coming at him. 2 men on, Steve Fry on in relief, and Hal Morris plates 2, And that's the way it stood in the 7th at 6-all. They've now gone to the 9th with the same score. McElroy and Jackson are now in there. Morris has 3 hits in the day and has knocked in 3 runs. In addition to his home run, Roberto Kelly has 2 other hits as well. Rio had been going after his 100th win. He still won't get it. The Giants are the only team he does not have a winning record against. The series between Cincy and San Francisco has been decidedly one-sided. If you compare the last 10 innings coming into this, Cincinnati finally woke up. They had lost the last 10. They had been out hit by almost 100 points. The runs are almost 3-1, but this one right now is 6-6 in the 9th. We'll let you know how it turns out. At Shea, Dallas Green deciding hang lefty Eric Hillman on the Braves. Push Saberhagen back a day and see if they would struggle against lefties again. Not Fred McGriff. His 11th home run of the year. That's 6 in 10 days. And then it is back-to-back Jack. Look out, cameraman. Almost took his head off. Javi Lopez puts Atlanta up 3-0. Dallas Green would have to go to his bullpen early. Steve Avery setting up Todd Hundley. The circle change, the bender. Perfect setup for a fastball inside. Pitched through 8, had 9 strikeouts, gave up just 1 run. What about that bullpen? That is a hanging curve by Mike Maddox. And look at where this one lands. Over the bleachers. Javi trying to put himself in front in that Rookie of the Year race. His 2nd home run of the game. The Braves beat them at 6-1. So they are now 4-5 against lefty starters by badgering Hillman. And 23-9 on grass. They are winless in 3 games on turf. They head to Riverfront. That'll start Tuesday. Maddox will go in that one. We've got a lot more to get to, including a trip way out west where the Padres keep coming close to their neighbors, but might have to go to greater lengths to end the Dodger domination in their domain. Montreal, the Reader streak. The Cubs clean up on Kirk early, forcing the Expos to try and bail them out again. And all of that leads to our game in Fenway Park. Cito, were you listening when Peter said what was the matter? They try to not get swept by the Red Sox. Coming up at the top of the hour.
I'm playing Pete's Comedy Pagoda tonight. I'm staying here at the Super 8 Motel. My favorite place. I love this room, don't you? Super 8 rooms are always affordable and roomy. Stevie, what a great TV. Just like mine, except this one works. 4 more hours to showtime. Okay, new joke. That's funny. No, it's not.
Super 8. 1-800-800-8000. Over 1,000 affordable, comfortable locations nationwide. Life's great at Super 8.
Tonight, somewhere amongst the important documents, the catch of the day, the tools, the toys, there is one package more priceless than all the rest. The golden package. It must be watched over, and come what may, it must complete its journey as promised. But which one is it? Ah, no one knows which one is the golden package, so every package will be treated as if it were.
Everybody loves the old players, huh? Home run. High Cobb, Spikes. Shoeless Joe's, Socks. Babe Ruth, Stogie, half smoked, half price. Great players, but they're dead. Heard it here first. Hey, what about Randy Johnson? I got his fastball right here. Cecil Fielder, home run king. Alomar, Ripken, Hiaga. All great players and they're all alive. That's important. I never miss a game.
Sunday and Wednesday night baseball, only on ESPN.
Welcome back to Baseball Tonight. Kurt Reeder bettered Whitey Ford back on April 29th when he carried his career start to a 10th straight win without a loss. But old-time giant Hooks Wiltse's major league mark of a dozen still needs some distance because Reuter hasn't been sticking around long enough lately to win or lose. The situation reached an extreme against the St. Louis Cardinals as Reeder was roughed up early. Pedro Martinez didn't seem to care, but Reeder got in trouble early and often. A saw-off, Mark Whitten doubles as Larry Walker turns it into something more costly. Cards up 3-0. Reeder didn't get a batter out. The only out he got was a caught stealing, but he bailed and was down just 3-0 after some relief help. Then, Alan Watson gives up the gopher ball. The home run makes it 5-3 Expos on the Grissom clout, but when it was tied at 5, Greg Jeffries puts the Cards up, 6-5 with a solo shot. Expos down 2 runs in the 9th. Mike Perezon had the save in Saturday's game with this bullet by Grissom. Here comes Clifford Floyd. They're not going to get him. It's a 1-run game. Bringing the lefty, Rich Rodriguez, to face Walker. The topper. Gonna have to hurry. But Ozzie Smith was resting after homering 2 straight days. That got through Oquendo. Grissom tied it at 8. Then Lenny Webster. Oh, it's over. Mark Whitten. Walker scores the winning run with a huge 9th inning rally. That deserves a tip for the cap from Felipe. It's the Expos' first win in 5 tries when a lefty has started. They are now 5-3 in Reeder's 8 starts. He still has a chance of eclipsing Hook's Wiltsey's all-time record because the Expos keep taking him off the hook. Even in his most dismal outing yet, it's nothing worse than another no decision, but that's a disturbing trend. Half of his dozen no decisions have come in 8 turns this season, during which his ERA is near 10. He's lasted an average of 3 innings in those no-win situations. At the vet, Phil's going for a 4-game sweep of the Bucks. Lenny Dykstra, who had reached base 10 times in the series and scored 8 of those times. And he's coming home. You can't stop him. Phil's up 1-0 when Merced's throw can't get there in the first. Sean Bosky has had trouble, just as he did with the Cubs, but he looks sharp this afternoon. The Pirates strand 13 runners, including 1 on Merced's K. Then they gunned down Dave Clark, trying to get within 90 feet of tying the game. Then Dave Clark hits the high chopper. Doug Jones gets the out. The Pirates strand 47 runners and getting swept in a 4-game series. Nice debut by John Lieber despite the loss. He had a 1.69 ERA in 8 minor league appearances and pitched well despite losing. Bosky's 8th game as a Philly. It's the first time the Phillies have won one of them. In the Astrodome, Greg Swindell trying to remain unbeaten, taking on the Rockies. Scoreless game in the second, and Andres Galarraga. This one is slammed. 442 feet, upper tier. 13th of the year as it falls back to the field of play. 2 outs later, Roberto Mejia walks. Dante Bichette is on the other corner, and the next batter, Armando Reynoso, swings and misses. Tony Eusebio sees Mejia, but somehow missed where his fielder was. Throws it into center. Bichette makes it 2-0 Rocks, and Reynoso tried to make it stand up. But he walked Biggio to load the bases. Then the ever-dangerous Jeff Bagwell. But he went for it on the yacker. The big strikeout with the bases juiced. Still 3-0 game. 2 on, 2 outs. Pitches out of more trouble by getting Biggio looking. 7 shutout innings. The Rockies hold him 4-0 on a combined 9-hitter. So the Astros have now lost 5 out of 6. The Rockies 13-3 against Houston in franchise history. At Chavez Ravine, the Dodgers looking to sweep San Diego. Brett Butler against A.J. Sager, and looking for a slice of history. And appropriately, it's a bunt single. It is his 2000th career hit as the throw gets away. 2 batters later, Mike Piazza. A ringing rope into the left field corner. Butler up 1-0. Next batter, Tim Wallach. Crunch. Derek Bell's got a long way to go, but a leaping grab takes away extra bases. Tom Candiotti trying to make him knuckle under. Keith Lockhart, that's his first at bat. His next at bat. The fluffer nutter got him again. Candiotti had 7 strikeouts in the day, almost half of them provided by Keith Lockhart. Wallach robbed by Bell. Let's see him go the other way. Where's Bell? Where's Gwynn? In there. With 2 aboard, he knocks him in with a double. Dodgers go on to blow out the Padres 7-1. They've now won 9 in a row at home, 6 straight overall. Those home games had all been 1-run games. Instead, this time they limit the Padres to 1 run, put up 7 themselves, and San Diego has lost 7 in a row. 26 of the Dodgers' 37 games have been decided by 1 or 2 runs, though. It makes the defense all the more important, although their fielding percentage is identical to last year's middle-of-the-pack performance. The infield has stepped up dramatically, all cutting their errors by better than 50%, while the errors at second have tripled. 3 of those, though, are by newcomer Delano DeShields, who himself is kind of young, Peter. All these guys are maturing now, so they're fielding better, and as is the Dodger legacy, there's even more on the way. Could it be true that they're better off without Darryl Strawberry?
I don't think any question. And this has nothing to do with Darryl Strawberry, but first of all, it allows them to continue the evolution from the team of 1991 that came so close on with all these kids to move on. I mean, they're an awful lot better team. You talk about missing Darryl Strawberry. Last year, the only 2 teams in the league that scored fewer runs were the Marlins and Mets. This year, right now, they lead the National League in runs, and it starts with the big guy hitting cleanup in the lineup. Piazza is just a great hitter. I mean, he's a power guy. He's a line drive hitter. He's got 30 RBIs already. He got off to a terrible start. He's one of the best hitters in baseball. And this guy, Raul Mondesi, comes up this year. has taken his place. As long as he keeps getting balls on the inside part of the plate, he'll be sensational. Henry Rodriguez, he's only hitting .340 as Darrell's replacement. He's done a nice job for them, and it's been a perfect replacement for them. I mean, Jose Opperman, you know, we saw earlier the defensive changes. I think he's going to hit a lot better, too. I mean, he's gotten big. He's really gotten to be a consistent player. Interestingly, their pitching has not been that good, at least their starting pitcher. But Pedro Estacio Wednesday night looked like the Estacio of last year. If he can get rolling, they can get that starting pitching stabilized now that Darren Dreifert has stepped in, has got 5 saves in the bullpen. They're going to be right there with the Giants all year. It's very interesting, and they've got a lot more kids on the way. Some great young outfitters like Roger Cedeno and Todd Hollingsworth.
Yeah, they got burned so badly and so frequently on the free agent market, they go back to their trademark, and it's paying off. Just ahead, we'll take you to the front of the line at Fenway, something that never actually happens. This Bostonian was even talking about it while visiting Jacobs Field in Cleveland.
Well, it's not really the food, it's the beer in Fenway Park. You can't get beer in the stands. You can get beer in the stands, yeah. Makes a big difference.
Yes, it means you won't miss as much action. We'll also show you action on Gary Gaetti in triplicate. Stat of the week.
During the playoffs, things get so intense, guys just start acting kind of weird. Is that true?
No, that's not true.
Hey, anyone see my trick?
Zay, you're out for a beer. What do you have? Beer. What if there wasn't any beer? Sorry, guys. Never heard of it.
Oh, Zima. Zima's good.
There you go. What is this? No, just drink. Zima's a unique alcohol beverage. I kind of like it. Anything else?
You got pretzels? What day is this?
The Stat of the Week is brought to you by Zima, the unique alcohol beverage. It's something different.
This week's Stat of the Week involves the man who put the 3 in third base. Gary Joseph Gaetti has become synonymous with the triple play. A dozen years ago, May 29th, the Yankees visiting the Twins, Roy Smalley strikes out. Sal Butera fires to Gaetti, who fires across the diamond to Kent Herbeck for the second out. Herbeck throws to pitcher Terry Felton. Triple play. 2 years later, July 19th, same teams, this time Yankee Stadium. Rick Cerrone grounded to third. Gaetti steps on the bag, fires to Tim Tuffle for the second out, and on to first to complete the triple play. Gaetti led American League third baseman in putouts and assists in 1984. April 5th, 4 years later, again, Yankee Stadium. This could be a pair. Could be 3 as they go round the horn, and it is a triple play. July 17th, 1990, Fenway Park.
Here's Gaetti. They'll get 2 and triple play. Oh, look at this. Going to be 2 in a game. Yes! Another triple play.
And history was made. The Twins, the only team in Major League annals to turn 2 triple plays in one game. Then, Saturday night at Kauffman Stadium.
Hey, the Royal right fielder on the ground. Steps on third, Gaetti. The relay and the triple play.
That was the 7th triple play Gary Gaetti has been involved in. Kansas City has turned just 4 triple plays in the history of the franchise. And Gary Gaetti and company came up a little short to Todd Van Poppel, who came in with a gargantuan .959 ERA in this game. Pitched pretty well, got the victory, snapping a personal 5-game losing streak. Eckersley with a perfect 9th. Sierra breaks an 0 for 20 slide with 3 hits in the game as the A's win for just the 3rd time in their last 23, 6-2. At storm-swept Jacobs Field, Kenny Lofton and the Indians leaping on Detroit and John Doherty with authority. Lofton over Tony Phillips would double, and then Baerga would double him home. Then in the 3rd, Lofton goes the other way, and Doherty hung his head and knew it. The crowd will scramble for this one. So he's got the double and the homer. That's his 4th homer of the year. Then Juan Samuel filling in for the flu-ridden Lou Whitaker. Fluey threw it away. Eddie Murray came around to score. Cleveland up 3-0. Jim Tomei. Samuel still struggling, fumbles it. That allowed Ramirez to score again. 4-0 Indians. Bottom of the 6th, it was 8-0. Oh, come on, hit it there. Almost. Head for the hills. Albert Bell with a crunch off Joe Baber. His 10th. A 3-run poke clobber the Tigers 11-6 to sweep the series. Doherty had an 18.69 ERA against the Tigers, or against the Indians last year. Gave up 9 hits in less than 5 innings this evening. In the Kingdome, Randy Johnson looking for some consistency against the Angels. His knee is still bothering him. He may eventually need some arthroscopic surgery. Left in the 6th, 9 hits, 4 earned. Griffey hit a bomb home run, a 14th of the year to lead the American League, but he has left the game with an hyperextended knee. The big unit hadn't pitched in 9 days. Ayala on there trying to save it for Seattle. It is 6-4. Tim Salmon, synonymous with Seattle after all. But on his tear, the Salmon has terrorized pitching everywhere. 4 home runs this week, a dozen RBIs, 10 runs scored in the last 4 games leading into Sunday. It was less than 2 weeks ago that the reigning Rookie of the Year was bottom feeding at 2 1/4 with just 3 homers, but entering Sunday, he had tripled his Tater total, more than doubled his RBIs, bumped his average by 100. Well, Peter, Fenway Park is one of those famous places that actually lives up to all that build-up when you go there and you see it, but most fans don't even mention that one long-standing institution that you need to look for when you get there. That, of course, is you. So, who more perfect to take us on a tour of the confines?
Well, actually, Sean Horgan of the Hartford Courant this week said, you know, this is like a Charles Dickens ballpark. I thought it was because it was built around the time of the French Revolution, but no. He said, no, it's because it's the best of parks and the worst of parks. Noted ball scribe John Updike called it a lyric little bandbox of a park, and he wrote it when Bootsy Budden played shortstop, and the Red Sox averaged less than 12,000 a game, before 67, before 75, before Chic. We appreciate historic ballpark repositories that tie Smokey Joe Wood to Roger Clemens. Hence, Fenway Park is as much a part of Bostonia as the Isabella Stewart Gardner Museum.
There's just a lot of history here, just walking out on the field, where a lot of great players have came out to.
You had Ted Williams. You look up and see the red seat up there in right field. You know that those guys have played here, and you know you're a part of this Red Sox tradition.
The first view during batting practice, you get to see the sun's out there. It's one of the best views of all the parks in the whole country.
It was carved out 82 years ago with all the eccentricities of the craggy neighborhood in which it was fitted. Fair balls can ricochet off 15 different angles, not counting the wall, which is slightly angled, so balls come off it and bounce not straight to the left fielder, but 3 feet towards center field. Fair balls can clank in 8 different doorways, or off a ladder. Center and right field are as logical as the New England coastline. But it is ball, the way we made our childhood ground rules off the house.
From the first strike of the game till the 9th inning, people were always in the game. When they say something to you, everyone doesn't have to hear it. They can say it directly at you.
It's probably the best place to play in baseball.
Fenway is as much a tourist stop as Faneuil Hall, Plymouth Rock, or Cheers. The Citgo sign has been declared a preserved historic monument.
It's nice. You don't have to travel. It's not in the middle of a desert. It's not in the middle of somewhere else. It's right there in the center of downtown. I like it.
I haven't sat in the stands too much, but I've gone back there where my wife and kids sit, and the seats are a little on the narrow side.
Unfortunately, for all its Victorian quirks, Fenway Park was built for people who were born in the 19th century, when John Cangelosi was full-size. Can you get me a hot dog, please? It can be easier to get a table at L'Espalier than Fenway Franks before. Ever spent $100 to bring the family to a public viewing of an 82-year-old pole? It always has a film of grunge, like Washington Street. And speaking of streets, players just love parking their $70,000 cars in this street they call the players' parking lot. At least players don't have to refinance their houses to park. But players and fans do share one experience, getting to Fenway.
I mean, it's just absolutely horrendous.
All of which adds up to the fact of life that the Red Sox eventually must build a 21st century Fenway Park.
You don't have many individuals as well as institutions, okay, that can survive much past that 90 years. So we'll be forced to have a strategic plan to, if you will, have a new Fenway Park.
Nothing, of course, could ever be exactly like Fenway. It will always be the best place to hear the sound of the perfect swing. And the worst thing about Fenway Park?
There's no World Series flag here. That's the only thing.
That sounds familiar. We'll take you to the National League version. Wrigley Field, when we come up, Chris Hammond in total command of the Cubbies.
From across the seas, Beck's delivers the grand tradition and taste of the German art of brewing. Beck's, the #1 imported German beer.
My ultimate ESPN Sports Center highlight would go something like this. I'm on third, and on the first pitch, I go. I'm stealing home. Everyone's going crazy. My manager, the fans, and Patrick. But I'm stealing home. I'm in there. I'm home. And somewhere in Philly, my grandma has one of her spells. Yeah, that's my Sports Center highlight.
This afternoon in Wrigley, the rubber game between the Cubs and Marlins. Chicago trying to rally. Eddie Zambrano with a man aboard. It's a bullet. Jeff Conine denies the extra base hit. Keeps it at 3-0. Chris Hammond, Peter.
Well, Sammy Sosa is just a little bit too aggressive here after getting the leadoff single. But look, they're just trying too hard at this point. I mean, here you have Sean Dunston walking on a ball in the dirt. Sosa's trying to go to third. This has just been a nightmare season. Nothing they do is going right.
Well, it wasn't only on the bases. Dunston, who was batting on that play, bobbled that ball. And the Cubs were graceless. They got shut down by Hammond, who lowers his ERA to 186 with the 3-0 win. Hernandez picked up the save. Hammond hasn't had a loss since April 29th. The Cubs are now 2-14 in Wrigley. The Padres come in Monday. Then again, though, Anthony Young will start that series. Hammond's latest start gets us started on who's hot and who's not. Sizzling along with a 22-inning scoreless streak now, Tony Gwynn continues to lead the league in batting, hitting like O'Neill lately, while Lenny is not only scoring in clumps, he's drilling the ball. In the American League, who's hot? We already told you about Tim Salmon. Julio Franco is just one off the league RBI lead. The Rocket is roaring. He'll face Messina Tuesday in Camden Yards. Who's not hot? In the National League, Terry Pendleton is having a miserable May. Andujar Cedeno has cooled off considerably, and Kurt Schilling is getting shelled as he still searches for his first win. In the AL, Carlos Delgado is longing for it to be April again, as his fellow rookie Bob Hamlin, also in a drought, while teammate Flash Gordon's troubles are on the mound.
The car on the right was filled with Castrol Syntec, a synthetic oil, the other with conventional oil. They were then drained and started without oil to prove a point. You see, Syntec has a unique molecular structure that bonds to engine parts. Lab tests show it leaves a layer of protection far stronger than conventional oil. And if Syntec protects this well now, imagine if you leave it in. Castrol Syntec protects in ways other oils can't.
America West asks, what would it be like to get low fares and great service?
It's like a long-lost uncle left you $1 million tax-free.
Like meeting a gorgeous hunk and discovering he's your next-door neighbor.
Hey, stop dreaming and start flying. At America West, we not only have low fares, our frequent flyer program, Flight Fund, can get you free trips all over the world.
Hurry, here I come.
America West, low fares and the respect you deserve.
It's like having your cake and eating it, too.
Everybody is at their best when it's quiet. Everything's blocked out. The crowd is like blurry. My opponent's blurry. The other side of the net's where all I see is the ball. The times where I'm not playing my best tennis, everything's loud. Every sound in the audience is magnified. I'm talking to myself, judging everything I do. It's a bunch of chaos. To watch it and to study it and to read the players expressions and just try to understand what they're feeling, and you start realizing that there's a lot going on, you know, inside the heads of those players.
More screaming meanies. McGriff and Lopez went back-to-back, Jack, against the Mets as the Braves won 2 out of 3 there. And Andres Galarraga continues his hitting tear as we go through all the goners. Speaking of going, gone, Kevin Mitchell has just homered against his former team, 7-6 lead in the 10th. Brett Boone in the corner, fair foul. They called it a home run. I don't know. It looked like it went on the other side to me, and certainly to me and Willie McGee. But Brett Boone gets a 2-run homer, and the Reds are spreading it out, leading it 9-6, still batting in the 10th after they had lost 10 straight times to the Giants. A reminder, we're at midnight Eastern only on Monday. We'll have the Leafs and Vancouver's opening game of the Stanley Cup semifinals for you. That's at 8 Eastern. Right now, for Peter Gammons, I'm Gary Miller. Stay tuned. Toronto trying to snap their slide as they visit Fenway Park. All the action in our Sunday night baseball game coming up next.
From Fenway Park in Boston, it's ESPN Sunday Night Baseball. Tonight, the world champion Blue Jays and series hero Joe Carter take on the Boston Red Sox and slugger Mo Vaughn. It's the Sunday night game of the week. Yes, that is the chart covering the infield at Fenway Park. Tonight, ESPN Sunday Night Baseball featuring the world champion Toronto Blue Jays and the red-hot Boston Red Sox. In the American League East, the Yankees won for the 10th time in a row, but there is Boston right behind them, actually 2 games out at the moment. And look at Toronto, 9 games out in the loss column, way down near the bottom. The weather conditions, as you can see, it is raining right now. So we can tell you that the forecast, which called for showers, accurate. Temperature 61 degrees. Whether it will rain throughout the night, well, that's what we're going to have to wait and find out. Hello, everyone. I'm John Miller, bidding you welcome to our telecast. Now, the Toronto Blue Jays are not used to being so far down. It has been 5 years since the Jays were last 9 games out of first place. And now, here they are, trying to act not concerned, but they've been on a road trip to Baltimore and now to Boston, and they have lost every game to these 2 intra-divisional rivals. It's about time to get it turned around. They got one last chance. And Joe Morgan, here with me, as you well know, a veteran of many pennant races, the Jays could get buried early in this division this year.
Well, this year is different than in the past. In the past, they've gotten off to a slow start, and they've been able to make up the ground, but they have better teams in front of them this year than in the past. And you also have to remember, last year they were able to outscore their opponents and win the championship. This year, they don't know how many runs they have to score because each and every day, the pitching staff gives up more runs. And they've been without their closer, and their starting pitcher has been their problem. If they can get their bullpen straight, I think they'll be able to make a run.
All right, well, the lineup still looks pretty good. The first 6 hitters all hitting over 300, but they've only scored 10 runs in the first 5 games of this road trip. Now, tonight they turn to Juan Guzman. His last 3 years, his record 40-11. Now, this guy has been a winner, but right now, he's not getting it done. He's getting lit up.
Well, he's been a consistent performer for him in the last couple of years. Last year, he only lost 3 games the entire season. He's already lost 4 this year. But his real problem, he says his elbow's bothering him. They're not sure. But he's not throwing his slider. Everyone knows that. If he doesn't use his slider, which is his best pitch, he's not going to win. So if he does have arm problems, I think he's going to have to sit out. Or you better start throwing the slider.
And, of course, those last 3 years when he had a lead, they could turn to Tom Henke, or in last year's case, Dwayne Ward. And right now, Ward has not pitched at all this year. He is still on the disabled list. Now, the Boston Red Sox, everything is going great for the Sox. They had a 5-game losing streak, but now they've won 4 in a row. And yesterday, the Hawk, Andre Dawson, he went deep twice. This one into the center field bleachers against Al Leiter. And then later, he went deep again for the Hawk, the 37th time that he's had 2 homers in a game. He's off to a pretty good start, 23 RBIs already. But when you think about the Red Sox right now, you have to think about Mo Vaughn. Big Mo is just red hot.
Well, Mo Vaughn has been their most consistent performer the entire year, but it's great to have that big left-handed bat in the middle of the lineup. And Mo Vaughn has been producing from day one. He hits home runs, he drives in runs, he's been doing everything for him. But when you talk about Andre Dawson, he's getting a little older, and he's not going to be as consistent as he has been in the past. You'll have a couple of good days, then a couple of bad days, but that's the problem with getting up there in age.
All right, so Boston is going for the sweep tonight, and the Blue Jays, they're trying to avoid losing an entire road trip. A big ball game for them tonight. They've got Gar Finvold on the mound for Boston against Guzman, weather permitting. ESPN Sunday Night Baseball is brought to you by MCI Friends Around the World and by Beck's Beer, the #1 imported German beer.
From across the seas, Beck's delivers the grand tradition and taste of the German art of brewing. Beck's, the #1 imported German beer.
Welcome to the Fleer Ultra Baseball Factory Tour. This year, we're putting gold foil stamping on both sides. Plus, more color-enhanced action on our all-new 3-photo backs. Fasten your seatbelts. There's UV coating on both sides, too. And we're in your face with incredible inserts featuring superstars and hot rookies. There's one insert card in every pack. 94 Fleer Ultra Baseball, better than ever.
Under conditions like these, the Pentax IQ Zoom 90WR doesn't break, it snaps.
It's a part of Boston that in historic times used to be entirely underwater. It's like the Revolutionary Days revisited tonight here in Boston's Back Bay, Fenway Park. The tarp is covering the infield. It is raining, and we are in a rain delay. I'm John Miller with Joe Morgan. Now, we're going to be shortly sending you back to Gary Miller at our Baseball Tonight studios, but then we will also be checking in here from Fenway throughout the evening. We're hopeful at this point that by about 9 o'clock that the weather will clear and we'll get this ball game started between the Blue Jays and the Red Sox. So stay right here. We got plenty of baseball for you. Stay tuned. We'll come back to Fenway later. Let's go back now to Gary Miller.
All right, thanks a lot, John. Hopefully this rain will subside, but we do have other action. A couple of games ongoing that have gone late. It is the top of the 10th inning. We told you showed Brett Boone's controversial home run right after Kevin Mitchell had homered. Well, the Reds are still batting at San Francisco. Roberto Kelly at the plate. We're going to give you some bonus coverage here as we join the Reds in progress with a 9-6 lead.
And the wind pushed it foul. The final out for Roberto was a ball that started off towards center field, and the wind blew it all the way to right. When Willie caught it, he was facing center field. 2-2, and he got it. But the Reds have done their damage. Kevin Mitchell, a big home run, his 11th of the year, his 201st of his career, and he did it back here in San Francisco. That home run gave the Reds a 1-run lead. They lead it by 3 as we go to the bottom of the 10th, and Barry Bonds comes up.
Okay, that's the situation out there. We'll let you know how San Francisco turns out. They've got a little rallying to do as Kevin Mitchell continues to terrorize them. But there's a couple of games that we didn't get highlights for you in the earlier edition of Baseball Tonight, including Kansas City and Oakland, as the Royals figured to fatten up this afternoon against the A's. Even though they were just the 3rd team Oakland's beaten in the last 23 outings a day ago, that's when they retired George Brett's number. This afternoon, they celebrated his 41st birthday, and KC had him up 2-1 in the third. But Geronimo Baroa off the rookie. Jeff Granger, major league debut, allowed Fausto Cruz to tie it at 2. Then 2 batters later, Ruben Sierra in a horrific 0 for 20 slump against Felix Jose, and the former A's right fielder, trying to figure out where the ball is. Sierra ended up with 3 hits, knocked in a big run there, and for a change, Todd Van Poppel pitched well. We'll talk about him in a second as he snaps a personal 5-game losing streak. Briscoe struck out 4 in less than 2 innings of relief. Granger did not pitch that badly, but takes the loss 6-2. Angels and Mariners in progress. Randy Johnson, he may eventually have to have surgery on some cartilage damage in his knee. Maybe that's what's been wrong with him. But he did figure out Tim Salmon, unlike anybody else in the American League this week. Struck him out. In fact, Salmon was 0 for 3 with 2 strikeouts at that point, but Ken Griffey picked him up. Took him yard. Home run number 14 of the year for the kid. Then in the 3rd inning, Griffey facing Joe McGrain. And he tries to beat it out and get the extension. Well, he extends his knee and left the game. So the Angels had a 4-3 lead in the 5th. Jay Buhner aboard and Mike Blowers with a bomb. A 2-run shot, his 2nd of the year. At that point, the M's take a 5-4 lead. And it is now 9-4. Even Felix Fermin has knocked in a run. Jay Buhner has 3 hits. He has 3 doubles. And in the 9th, Bobby Ayala is trying to close it out against the Angels. Now, we took it to San Francisco a little while ago. Told you the Reds had rallied. They've lost 10 straight times to this team, but they're up 9-6. Giants are in their last at bat. Barry Bonds stepping to the plate. They've got 3 runs to make up. We'll take you out for the bottom of the 10th.
This day started, Chris, with us talking to Kevin Mitchell in the pregame show, and he indicated that this is a special place for him, and that Bonds sends this one in the air. Larkin's got the best shot at it as the wind holds it up, and Barry's got it. Big out, 1 away. But it's been pretty clear as we talked to Mitch that people have been saying here, well, he's a free agent next year. Maybe he'll come back to San Francisco. Mitch said, right now, I want a ring, but I want that ring in Cincinnati. And we asked him about this team, the Reds team of 1994, and how it's different than 93.
Well, you know, I've been on a losing team. I always been on winning teams. And when I got traded to Seattle, you know, and I was on a losing team. I hate losing. I mean, you can always keep your head up when you win. And it brings a lot of smiles and a lot of good atmosphere around the ball club. You know, everybody wants to get here, and they know they're going to win before they even go out there on the out on the ballpark. And I tell you, it's just like, you know, everybody, you know, goes out there day by day, you know, and they know their obligation. The little things that win a ball game, that's how you win.
Sometimes it's a little thing, sometimes it's a big thing, like Mitchell's big fly to right center field that is giving the Reds a lead. Good stop by Branson. You know, it's amazing. You get a couple of hits and you start to turn some plays too.
How about it?
Brano picks one.
Finally got you, Willie.
McGee has been a particular thorn in the side of the Reds this whole series. So there are 2 outs, and the Giants are down to their final out. Here's Royce Clayton, who's 2 for 4. For Mitch, the home run of particular significance. He bounced into a couple of double plays that could have given the Reds leads in the last 2 games. Had to leave the lineup yesterday with an eye irritation when the Reds could have used his at bat. But he was there when he was needed in Game 3 of the series. And Brantley's ahead 0-2. Don't you think this is a nice moment for Jeff Brantley too?
Oh, to come back here and pitch so well in front of his former teammates and to his former teammates. He'll be on the other side of the ledger here. He was the last pitcher to lose to the Reds, and Giants pitcher, when Tim Belcher beat him last June.
You know, Chris, the Giants certainly have had great success here, but the Reds have had troubles here over the years, and last year you mentioned was a significant year too. But here, Jeff Brantley with the breaking ball, closes it out. Kevin Mitchell did it with the home run. Brantley does it with the breaking ball, and the Reds rally to take the final game of this series. They win it 9-6, and Mark Hirschbeck heads towards the corner as fans have gathered in the corner, and they've thrown a ball at Hirschbeck. There's no call for this. As Mark Hirschbeck goes to the umpire's room, a host of fans in that corner were yelling at Hirschbeck, and 2 policemen escorted Hirschbeck to the doorway, and now he is safely underneath the stands and heading towards the umpire's room, which is right under there to the left of that doorway. Mitchell was the man of the hour.
Hey, George Graham with a brief return to ESPN. We thank the Cincinnati-San Francisco broadcast. The Reds beat the Giants for the first time in 11 meetings. They have the largest lead in baseball now. They're up 4.5 games in the Central with the Cardinals' late inning loss to the Expos this afternoon.